So anyway, looking at the macro picture, it's been a humbling few months for Indian Test team. Loss at home to New Zealand, and now giving away the Border Gavaskar Trophy, something that you held for almost a decade, more than a decade, in fact. Where do you see Indian Test cricket go from here on?
Well, look, I think India has enough depth of talent. There's no question about it. The kind of talent that we have, what you call our bench strength. We have a very good bench strength, but that bench strength needs to be given the opportunities as well. And because there are no matches that are being played between these test matches, you're never going to be able to see how the bench strength is doing. Also, what these practice matches do is those out of form, whether as a batter or a bowler, they can get and play these matches and get some rhythm back. Like I said before, I think earlier on our program, when the Indian team reached Australia, and until the 7th, which was supposed to be the last day of the series, they were going to be in Australia for 57 days. Out of 57 days, there were 5 test matches of 5 days, which was 25 days. And then there was a 2-day game with the Australian Prime Minister's 11. So out of 57 days, they were going to play cricket for 27 days. And for 30 days, they were not going to play cricket. Now that to me, that those 30 days, okay, there is one travel day. So you're looking at 6 travel days. So from 30 days, take out those 6 travel days. Out of 24 days, are you trying to say to me that you could not arrange 2 matches somewhere of 3 days, and irrespective of the quality of the opposition, it's just the rhythm factor, getting into the flow factor for the bowlers, for the batters, for those who are in the reserves, who get the opportunity, those who are out of form, who get the opportunity to get back into form. These are things that hopefully will be considered now that you've got the experience for the tour of England, which again is going to be a 5-test match series. It's going to be a very short, quick trip. That's the nature of international tours nowadays. But hopefully this will be taken into account for those in-between days and, some matches organized.
Saiba, you talk about, some practice games. Of course, there was those India A games before the series started. But unfortunately, the 2 standout performers there, one was Jurel, who only got 1 test match. The other was Prasidh Krishna, who only got, only 1 test match right at the end. So even when, there were some games and the performers, they really didn't get a long run. Because you talk about, them practicing or playing a bit more game. The other question that comes to your mind is also this, aversion to playing domestic cricket. Today, Gautam Gambhir, the coach, was asked about domestic cricket, and he said, listen, I include everyone, stalwarts, big player, anyone, everyone should be playing domestic cricket regularly. But Saibai, this is something that we've heard for the last few months, but not everyone is playing domestic cricket. Is it easier said than done then? Is it lip service?
Well, we'll find out. We'll find out whether this is lip service. We'll find out soon, because there is some domestic cricket happening in the next 15 days. And we will find out what is happening, whether what the coach wants and what the players want to do. Because there are, some players who are taking their places for granted. And they think that whatever happens, that they will not be dropped from the team or whatever. So I think let us see what happens now. When the coach has said that he expects all these players to play. Let's see.
Okay, so 2 players I'm going to talk to you in particular. We've spoken about Virat and Rohit a lot during our coverage. I'm going to focus on, let's say, someone like a KL Rahul. He started off the series very well, but then has tapered off. He ends the series at an average of 30, which is below his career average. Now, this was an opportunity for him to cement his spot because he had been in and out of the team. Now, at the end of the series, what do you think? Has he done more harm to his test prospects going forward, or has he done any good to it?
I think it is probably in Rahul's case, because he just sort of tapered off in the last couple of test matches. You could say that, he hasn't moved back, neither has he, taken any step forward. I thought the way he played in the first 3 test matches, this was going to be somewhere where he will be able to, consolidate his place in the team. What about Shubman Gill?
Yes.
Shubman Gill had a terrific opportunities, but in this game, both the times, his temperament was called into question. And, here is a man who's had loads of opportunities. He's also had an injury, so he didn't play the first test match. But we talk about Rahul, but we also must ask questions of so many others.
Yeah, it's a valid point. In fact, Sunil, that was going to be the next player I was going to discuss. Was Shubman Gill as well. You know, that 91 at Gabba, that's long gone. After that, Senna performances haven't been great. He's done well in Indian conditions, but Senna performances haven't been great for him as well. So what does he do? Go back to domestic? What must he do?
He has to. Everybody has got to go back to the domestic. They want to play for India in Test cricket. They want to play red ball cricket. They need to go back to domestic. I know there's probably just one round of Ranji Trophy left, and some of their teams might not qualify. But those who, if they qualify, then they should be available to play for their Ranji Trophy team.
Okay, Sunil, finally, before we let you go, there is also a school of thought, and I discussed it earlier, that Gautam Gambhir, the coach's tenure hasn't been great. You lost that ODI series in Sri Lanka, then the loss to New Zealand at home, and now this Sunil Gavaskar trophy. There is a school of thought that suggests maybe it's time to have different coaches or different support staff for test match cricket and white ball cricket. You see merit in that?
Well, there is, I don't know about merit in having different coaches. That is something, that we need to look at in a different scenario, not right now. But surely questions have to be asked of him and his coaching staff. What were they doing that we had this situation where we are losing? Because we have lost when we should not have in India against New Zealand. The batting over there was pretty ordinary. The batting over here has been pretty ordinary. So I do believe that I think questions need to be asked about that. Our bowling could have been better as well. We just had two bowlers, but a lot of times the things that everybody, not just us, but including the Australians who were talking about the kind of deliveries to be bowled to a Travis Head, to a Pat Cummins, nothing of that sort was tried. So therefore, you've got to ask the bowling coach for what was happening. And if the bowling coach said that he had also told the bowlers to do this and the bowlers didn't do that, then you need to question the bowlers. Why the short stuff was not tried against Head? Why the short stuff was not tried against Pat Cummins? There are so many questions that can be asked. And I think these next 8-10 days which are there, I think Indian cricket needs to take a good, honest look at itself. Most importantly, the star culture has to go. And I do believe that you have to give a complete, total commitment to Indian cricket. You have a choice. You must be available for Indian cricket every single time. Unless there's a complete medical emergency, you have to be available. It's your call.
Right. If
you're not available for Indian cricket, you should not be considered for Indian cricket at all. But we do not want people who are partly here, partly there. We should not. We should not be pampering anybody now. We've had two results which are bad. We should have been in the World Test Championship final. We haven't been in the World Test Championship final. And so I think, the cricket board has to stop having this business of, being admirers. Sure, by all means be admirers, but also, put your foot down. Also tell them that, look, Indian cricket is number one. And you take a call. It's either the Indian cricket for you or other things for you. And if Indian cricket is your call, you will be selected.
All right, you couldn't have summed it up any better. Sunil Gavaskar, as candid as ever. Thank you so much, Sunil, for joining us.